Before we start, today's learning should be L'Zecha Nishmas Gila Bashloim Alevi Basafrayim Yitzchak ben Chaim Alevi Yaakov ben Shargafai Alevi Sar Alevi Bashmol Tzvi Elchanan Peis Advar Yech Basar Shua and Vav ben Baruch Hashem Shavaliyah and Rafu Shalema Yehudis Bas Miriam and Rukamliel ben Michla Ita. Okay, so we're up to Daf Samach Beis Amid Aleph, 3 lines into the page. To finish up this parak, the Gemara is we've been dealing with, preparing with Amaratzim for Shalom and preparing Tumah Tahara, all that stuff. So the parak just started. The parak ends with the following, 3 lines into the page, Samach Beis Amid Aleph. Heyed Rav Yosi ben HaMeshulam Mishum Rav Yechanan Achiv. Shamar Mishum Rav Elazar ben Chisma. So Rav Yosi ben HaMeshulam testified the name of Elazar ben Chisma. Ein oisin chalas ama'aretz b'tahara. Interesting halacha. In ama'aretz, let's say your job is you're a baker. That's what you do for a living. So an ama'aretz brings you dough and says, I'd like you to bake it. And that's what you do. You're a baker. They would sometimes bring their own dough. I'd like you to take this dough, separate challah, and bake it for me. So you'd say to yourself, it's like a kiruv opportunity. Givaldik, they want me to separate challah, beautiful. The halach is you're not allowed to. Why? Now the reason is very simple. This dough that they already brought to you, it's already been wet, it's already been made into a dough, and it's already been touched by an amaretz, which means it's already tameh. By you separating challah, people are going to think that it's tahar, because it was separated challah and baked by a frum Jew. So people are going to say, it's kosher to eat. He's going to give it to a kohen. A kohen's going to eat it because the kohen's going to say to the amaretz, who made this challah? Who separated the challah? Say, Avi Zakutinsky separated. He's a frum person, so it must be okay. But the problem is, by the time you already got it, it was already tameh. So the halach is, you're not allowed to separate challah, because by the time you're getting it, it's already tameh. We do not allow you to separate challah, because then people are going to think that the challah is taka mutter to eat, and the bread is mutter to eat, but it's not true, it's already tameh. Ein oisin chalas ama aretz b'tahara. Okay. But let's say instead of them bringing you dough, which is already susceptible to tumah and already separate tumah, let's say they bring you the raw materials. They bring you grain and flour that never became wet, so it's never tumah, and you bake the dough for them. Then it's allowed, because we're not concerned. We're not concerned that after you separate challah and you turn it into a dough, they're going to touch it. You tell them, listen, I'm going to make it because it was never tameh before. You turned it into flour, turn it into dough, turn it into challah. Beautiful. You'll do it b'tahara and you'll separate the challah properly. And you tell the amaretz, listen, but don't touch it. So they have to make sure not to touch it with their hands because they don't, and we trust them. Then that's allowed. Why? The Gemara is going to say the reason why we're makel in this case, because you could say to yourself, why do you want such a headache? Why do you even want to let them do their own thing? Why do you want to help them at all? The reason is because as a baker, I'm making money. And bakers didn't have a lot of money. In order to help the parnas of the baker, we will allow them to prepare the flour and turn it into dough, so that make sure that it was never tameh, and then they separate challah, that's fine. So if they bring you the raw materials, which was never susceptible to tumah, you could turn it into dough and separate challah. Now, how do you make sure that they don't become tameh when they pick it up from the bakery? You place it in a chafisha or in a chusa. Chafisha and a chusa were different types of containers that were from scrapped leather, and it was not susceptible to tumah. Not every container is susceptible to tumah. This container is not susceptible to tumah, so even if an amaretz touches it, it will not become tameh. And when the amaretz comes to take his dough from the bakery, he's going to lift up both of them in the same container. He'll take the challah and he'll take his dough. And we don't have to be concerned that he'll touch the challah and defile it. We trust him. And the Gemara is going to say, we warn him, we threaten him that if he touches the challah, it makes the entire dough aser. Whether that's true, it's a shayla in the poskim of whether they were takamachmer, but that was definitely a threat. That we say to him, if you touch the dough, and you touch the challah, if you touch the challah, it turns the entire dough back into like tevel. Okay, so we trust that he won't do it. Now, so we don't So if he brings a dough, you're not allowed to separate challah because it's already tameh. But if he brings raw material, you're allowed to prepare b'tahara in order to help the livelihood of the baker. Same thing also with press. Ein ois and trumas zeisav b'tahara. Let's say they bring someone. They bring. I have an olive press, so you bring your olives for me to press, and you want me to prepare it properly and separate truma. The halacha is you're not allowed to do it because by the time they're bringing it to you, it's already tameh, right? By the time they bring you the olives have already been wet, and therefore it's a problem. Ein ois and truma zeisav b'tahara. That's a problem. Because again, you're going to separate truma, everyone's going to give a hechsher, everything's just kosher. By the time you got it, it was already tameh, so the kohen is going to eat tameh truma. But if he gives you olives, or I guess he brings you olives in a way that they never became wet. So let's say, he gives you fresh olives that are still, I don't know, you go to the tree, I'll give you a crazy case. You go to the tree and pick them, whatever the case is. He brings you olives in such a way that they were never susceptible to tumah. Then, you could press that truma, you could press them and separate truma and we're not concerned that he's going to touch them afterwards. Now, you place it into a utensil from person so that it's not tameh. And when the ma'aretz comes to take his oil, he takes the regular oil and the truma oil, and we're not concerned that he's going to touch it. So it's mamash the same halacha regarding challah and one regarding pressing oil. Now, the time am I? Why are we lenient in both of these cases that we allow you to prepare it at all? Why don't we just say to the guy, I don't want to get involved? It's Amar Rav Yechana Mishum Kedei Chalav Degav Mishum Kedei Chalav Debodad. The reason is because we want to help the parnasa of the one who needs the dough, right? The baker. I make $1 every time I bake challah, so it helps me for parnasa purposes, and that's why we're lenient. Obviously in a way where the item is not tameh, but we are going to be lenient somewhat. And so too with the pressing of the olives, we are lenient somewhat in order to help the person who does for a living, he presses olives. Now, why do I need both? If it's mamish the same halacha being repeated up amongst itself. One is that we're lenient in order for someone to the baker, and we're lenient for someone pressing olives. Why do you need it to be repeated? Utzricha, you need both. Why? If I only had the case of the one who presses the dough, who makes the dough, apparently the bakers obviously didn't have a lot of money. It didn't cost a lot for them to, you're not going to charge a lot of money to bake dough, to bake bread. So they didn't have a lot of money, so they mamish needed parnasa. Aval bada, therefore we're more lenient. Aval bada de navajagri, but for pressing olives, which is much more expensive, maybe we would say emaloi, maybe we would say they don't need the heter because they have enough money. And if the opposite, if all you heard was the case of the olive presser that were lenient, I would say mishum d'lishchiach. I would say because how maybe we're lenient by olive press, although they make a lot more money. Maybe we're lenient with olive presses because not everybody has an olive press. There were much more ovens available, but there weren't as many olive presses available. But a neither for pressing dough, which is readily available, I would say there's enough people. They don't have to go to you. Let them go to someone else. Therefore you need both. Okay. Now just to finish up this brisa, the brisa said not that you separate the dough from challah if he gives you the raw materials that were never tameh. You separate the challah. And you place it in a chafisha and chusa which are not susceptible to tumah. And when he comes to take the dough, we trust that he won't touch the challah before he delivers it to the kohen. Why do we trust that he's not going to touch the challah? How do we know that he's not going to touch the challah? Because we threaten him. We say we say that if you touch the challah, the whole dough will become aser. The whole dough will become tevel. Whether that's true or not, I actually don't think it's true, unless there was a knas from Chazal. But we threaten him and we say, listen, if you touch his challah, it'll affect the rest of the dough. So the Gemara says, maybe he won't care. You're assuming he'll care. Maybe he'll say, I don't care. The Gemara says, the Gemara says, of course he's going to care. He's bringing it to you because he wants you to do it with tahara. He wants you to separate challah. You're talking about someone who's obviously in the process of becoming fromer. That you're going to say he doesn't care. That he's only bringing it to you because he wants you to separate challah. If he's clearly interested in becoming a more observant person, then if you threaten him not to touch the challah, you could assume that he'll do the same. Now, the only thing the Gemara points out that when it comes to the olive oil, it's the exact same thing. The only difference is that by the dough, you put it in the chafisha, you put it in the chafisha or the anchusa, which are not susceptible to tumah. Regarding the dough or the oil, it said you put it into a kelev of a chaver. I don't really know what that means. So the Gemara says, that we trust that he's not going to touch the oil. How do you know he's not going to touch the oil? Now, Bishlei Mahasam Isle Hakera. Hacha Maheker Isla. And the Gemara says, by the dough, at least it's in a special utensil. This chafisha looked very unique. It was not susceptible to tumah. It was from scraps of leather. So the Amaretz will remember, oh, don't touch that because it's in a special vessel. But the oil is just in a jug. So how is he supposed to remember? So the Gemara says, Demanachle b'klei galol b'klei havana b'klei adama. The truth is, you put the truma oil in vessels made of klei galolim, which is animal dung, or stone, or earthenware utensils which are not susceptible to tumah. The point is, you dafka pick new kalim that are not susceptible to tumah. So the Gemara says, "Ihachi my area dechaver afil damaretz." Wait a minute. If the kalim are not susceptible to tumah, then why does it say that you put them in a kalim of a chaver? A kalim of a chaver means that they're tahar, that they were from people own the kalim. If the kalim are not susceptible to tumah, then even a non-from person's kli is fine because it's not possible to become tameh. So the Gemara says, yeah, that's what we meant. We meant that even if the kli belongs to an amaretz, but it's not susceptible to tumah, it's like it's owned by a chaver. So the point is, you put in special utensils. Okay, just to finish up the parak, the Mishnah said that while you're not allowed to help someone process shmita fruit, you're allowed to help goyim work the land on shmita. The question is that allowed? Machzikin, you're allowed to actually assist them in working the land. You're not allowed to work the land with goyim on shmita. I don't know if it's an issa deraisa or just a bad optic. It could lead. I think it's because it could lead you to working the land if you own it. The point is, how can the Mishnah say you're allowed to? I thought you're not allowed to. Secondly, then the brisa ends off in kaiflin shalom levikavim. You're not allowed to say shalom twice. You're allowed to say shalom once, but apparently the way they would greet each other is that you would say shalom to one person and he would respond shalom shalom. You're not allowed to say shalom shalom to a guy. You could say shalom once. You just can't say shalom shalom twice. So the Gemara says, how could you help a guy in Shemitah work the land? I thought you're not allowed to. No, the Gemara says, when the Mishnah says you could help him, it doesn't mean to physically help him. It means, you could wish them success in their work. You could say chazak in your work. You could give them emotional support. You can't actually help them work the land. As Rabbi Yehuda would tell these Goyish workers, Achzuki, be strong. He would also say be strong in his language. Now, although you're allowed to say shalom to a guy, you can't say shalom shalom. Says the Gemara, Rav Chisda would greet every guy first. Because as I said, when you greet the guy, you say shalom. And then they respond shalom shalom. He didn't want to say shalom shalom, which is the name of Hashem twice. So he would greet each guy. Rav Kana Amar Le Shalom Amar. Rav Kana would say to the guy, Shalom to the master, Shalom Amar. Okay. B'Shalom, B'Shalom, you're allowed to say hello for Goyim, even though you're using the name of Hashem, of Shalom, you're allowed to for peace. Hashta Chazuki Machzakinon, Shalom B'Shalom Yiboy. Now the Gemara says, if I'm allowed to wish them strength while they're working the Shemitah lands, of course I could say hello to them. It's pretty posh. So the Gemara, meaning, you tell me I'm allowed to say hello. I'm allowed to wish them strength while they're working the Shemitah. It seems like saying hello is much more benign than that. So the Gemara says, it means you're allowed to say hello to them on their festivals. Meaning on Xmas, on December 25th, you could say hello, and we're not concerned that greeting is like akin to saying, I'm into Avodah Zarah. Titania, as the Brisa says, you should not enter a Goyish house on their holiday, v'yitin l'shalom, and say hello to them in their house, because I guess that's So Rashi says because that's such a high level of thanks, of appreciation that the guy might think he's God. And we know that you're not allowed to cause a guy to pray idolatry because that's lifnei iver. So you're not allowed to go into his house to wish him hello. But matzu b'shuk, if you find the guy on his holiday in the marketplace, nice in life b'safa, you could greet him in a low voice, b'safa rafa b'kayved roish, in like a low manner, like, oh, good morning, good morning. You don't have to, you can't say super hello, you can say good morning. Can you close the door, please? So the Gemara says, just to end off the parak with a story, Rav Huna and Rav Chizda Rav Huna and Rav Chizda were sitting together. Chalaf Azal Geniva. Geniva will pass them. We've had this before. Geniva is constantly walking past Rabban. It's a couple times in this Masechta. This Masechta in Ksubis also. Amar Lichad L'Chaver, one of them said, Nikum Mekame Debar Uryun, you should stand before Geniva because he's a Talmid Chacham. Amar Li Mekame Palga Nikum, I'm not standing before someone who argues. If you remember, in the beginning of the Masechta, Daf Zayin, Geniva was harassing Marukva. He was like an intellectual type, and he was giving Marukva a hard time. So he said, I'm not standing up before someone who causes tsaris to Rabbanim. So now while they're talking, Geniva comes over to them. Amalu, he said to them, Shalom aleichu malki, shalom aleichu malki, shalom to you kings, shalom to you kings. So Amalei, menalach the Rabbanim ikri malachim. So he said, how do you know Rabbanim are called kings? Amalu d'chsiv, ki malachim yimloichu. Through the Torah, kings reign. Right? Man malki Rabban, the Rabban are called kings. So Amalei. So fine, we're called kings. Why are you saying hello? Shalom alecha malki, shalom alecha malki. You're greeting us twice. How do you know that you're supposed to greet a king twice? Amalei, dam Rabbi Yehuda Merav. How do you know you're supposed to greet a king twice? The pasuk says, the end of the pasuk regarding David, it's Shalom Shalom Alecha. So this is let me see if I have the full pasuk. Hold on one second. Yeah, the pasuk is Veruch Loshes Amasai greeted David. V'imcha ben Yishai Shalom Shalom Lecha Shalom LeIzracha. That he greeted him Shalom twice. So you see that you're supposed to greet a king twice. The Gemara says Amrulay. They said to him, Lita Marmitis. You want to eat something? Amrlu Geniva said, you're not allowed to eat before you feed your animal. This is one of the sources that you have to feed your animal first. So you feed the animals and then you feed the people. Okay, go to the next page. Now, back to Gittin. The Gemara said, the Mishnah says like this. Now the halacha is the husband can appoint a shliach to deliver the get. The wife can appoint a shliach to receive the get. The husband cannot appoint a shliach to receive the get for the wife. Meaning, if I want to divorce my wife, and I go over to Adam and I say, hey, can you deliver it to my wife? He can't, or even if I say, miskabel for my wife, it doesn't work. Why? Because being divorced is a chayv. Ein chayv l'adam shalei b'rtzonai. I could divorce my wife. I can't appoint a shliach on her behalf. You can't do that. So the most the man can do is appoint a shliach to deliver, and the most a woman can do is to appoint a shliach to receive it. So the husband can appoint a shliach to deliver. The wife can appoint a shliach to receive. So it says the Mishnah Ha'omer. The Mishnah says if a husband tells someone his skabel get zeli ishti, accept his get from my wife. Okay, so he says to someone to receive the get for his wife. Again, he doesn't have the right to do that. So basically, when he says his skabel, he's basically saying, please deliver it. Or if he says it outright, take this get from my wife. The halacha is those two people are shluchim. Those two, it's an or, it's not an and. He did not appoint two people. Those two situations, the guy is a shliach to deliver the get, and therefore, imratzal lachzer yachzer. She is not divorced until she receives it, and if he chooses to retract halfway through, he can call the guy up and say, I want you to stop. Because again, they cannot receive it for the wife. The only one who could appoint someone to receive it for her is her. He cannot appoint a shliach to mekabel it for his wife. The most he can do is a shliach to deliver. Therefore, it's not a get until it's delivered. And if he chooses to back down, so let's say he gives it to Adam, he says, hey, deliver it to my wife. And then he's traveling, takes him 2 days, a day in, he can call him up, say, hey, stop. Okay. Now, she says, ha'isha, Again, the wife has the ability to appoint someone to be a shliach to be mekabelit because that's within her right. Shliach shalom kamosa. Ha'isha shamar eskabel giti. But if a woman tells someone, "Accept a get from me," and then the husband gives it to her, imrat lo yaser. She's already divorced. The second the get is in the hands of the shliach, she's already divorced. There's no backing down. L'fikach. So let's say the scenario is like this. The woman says to someone, "Be a shliach to be mekabelit for me." So we said, the second the husband gives the get to the hands of the shliach, she's already divorced. So says the Gemara, says the Mishnah, what if, again, the wife appoints a shliach to be mekabel the get. So the wife appoints, Rachel appoints Leah to be mekabel the get. So we said that when the husband gives the get to Leah, she's already divorced. The question is there any way for him to stop it, the husband to stop it? So the Gemara says yes. The Mishnah says yes. Lefigach. Im amrle habal, if the husband turns to Leah before he gives it to her and he says, I do not want you to receive the get for her. Again, the husband is always the one who's in charge. And she appointed Leah to be mekabel the get for her. But if the husband says, I don't want you to be mekabel the get, rather I want you to just deliver it to her, then in Ratzalachser, Yatser, he may do so. The husband can change it because the husband, the same way the husband chooses whether the wife receives it, he also chooses who receives it on behalf of the wife. So she could appoint a shliach to be mekabel, but he could override that and say, I don't want you to be mekabel the get, I want you to deliver the get, and then it's just a delivery, and he could back down halfway through. Now we said before that if a woman could appoint someone to be mekabel the get by hiskabel, the truth is, says Hashem Gamliel, is tuli giti. Even if the woman didn't say the word hiskabel, which means I want you to receive the get from me, but she said tuli giti, take my get from me, then in Ratzalach, that's also a form of saying be mekabel the get from me. Tuli giti, take my get from me, is also a lashon of Kabbalah, and if the wife says that to someone, she's appointing her a shliach to be mekabel the get. The second that woman gets the get, the divorce takes effect. Okay. Now, the case of the Mishnah, the first two cases are the husband says to someone, "Hiskabel get zel ishti," accept this get from my wife. "Oyholich get zel ishti," or he says to someone, "Take this get to my wife." We said in both cases, it is a shliach to deliver. So it says the Gemara, "Amalei Ravacha b'rei Ravavi lo Ravashi." The Gemara says like this: the first two cases, the Gemara feels are pretty posh. That basically the husband only has the right to appoint a shliach to deliver. That's pretty posh. What's the chiddush? So the chiddush is you could deduce from his following. Taima, you could deduce that the reason is the husband cannot retract the lisha v'isi shliach l'kabbalah because the woman never appointed them as a shliach. Ha shavisi shliach l'kabbalah. But let's say the wife had already appointed this person as a shliach. So you have this person, this lady Leah. The Mishnah said that if the husband said to Leah, hiskabel gezel ishti, hoilich gezel ishti, the shliach, she's a shliach to deliver. The Gemara feels like that's pretty posh. What's the chiddush? The chiddush is, it's dafka that she's a shliach to deliver because she was not already appointed by the wife. But let's say she was appointed by the wife first. The wife appointed her as a shliach to be mekabel. So we said the husband can override that. So taimad hashavisi shliach l'kabel. But let's say the woman had already appointed her as a shliach to be mekabel the get. Then the husband said, "His kabel get zel ishti or helach zel ishti rotzalasa leyaser." Then the husband is not overriding her. Meaning, when the wife appoints someone to be mekabel the get, when the husband gives it to her, that's it. She's divorced, unless the husband overrides it and says, "I want you to deliver it only." The implication of this Mishnah is that if the wife had already said it, then by the husband saying his kabel gets that, or hoilich gets that, the husband is not overriding that. The husband is saying, fine. So you see from here, hoilich kizchidani. Right? We had the shaila before that when someone says hoilich, right, means take it. Does that mean take and deliver, or take and actually acquire it for her? In other words, when the wife appoints a shliach as a shliach to mekabel, the husband has either the right to accept that or override that. Now, if let's say she said, "I want this woman to be mekabel on my get," and the husband says, "Efshi, no chance," that's the husband overriding it. Over here, the Gemara is understanding the chiddush of the Mishnah is, because the cases are pretty pashut, that hiskabel or hoylech just gets to deliver. Yeah, it's pretty pashut. So what's the chiddush? The chiddush is, had the wife already appointed her as a shliach to be mekabel, and then he didn't say he didn't say no chance. He said hiskabel gets elishti or hoylech gets elishti. That is the husband's way of endorsing it. Why? Hoylech is kizchi. When he says hoylech, he means not just deliver, he means take and acquire it. Hoylech is kizchi dami. That's the chiddush of the Mishnah. That you see hoylech, that when a person says hoylech, he doesn't just mean to deliver. It's hoylech kizchi. It means take it and acquire it on behalf of that person. So when the wife said that she wants her to be a shliach l'kabbalah, and then the husband says hoylech, he's not overriding her. He's sort of backing up what she's saying. So the Gemara says no. I'll say no. The truth is hoylech could be lav kizchi. But wait a minute, I thought we're deducing from this that this whole conversation started because the case of the Mishnah was the husband said hiskabel gets el ishti, a hoylech gets el ishti, and simply put, the husband is saying deliver this because that's all the husband has the right to do. The Gemara felt like the underlying Gemara's thought was that's pretty pashut. I don't see the chiddush in that. It must be the chiddush is that had the wife already been mekabel, appointed her as a shliach, then the husband said hiskabel or hoylech, then it would be taka a good get right away because hoylech is kizchi dami. The Gemara says no. Perhaps really hoylech is lav kizchi. But don't deduce any of this. What should you deduce? Nothing. So why did we start all this? We started deducing because we felt these two cases are pashut. We said hiskabel gezel ishti, hoylech gezel ishti is pashut. The answer is it's not pashut. I'll tell you outside the seat and said what's not so pashut. Hiskabel gezel ishti. The husband says, receive this get from my wife. We're interpreting that because he doesn't have the right to do that. He only has the right to appoint a shliach to deliver. We're saying when he says hiskabel, he means deliver. That's a chiddush. I could have seen that when he says hiskabel gezel ishti, it's an irrelevant term and it doesn't work at all. Meaning, I could have seen that if the husband goes over to someone and says hiskabel gezel ishti, and then the person takes it and delivers it to the wife, I would say it doesn't work at all. Why? The only thing the husband has the right to do is appoint a shliach to deliver. Over here, there's no delivery. He didn't say hoylech. He didn't, and he said hiskabel. Hiskabel, he doesn't have the right to do that. So don't deduce anything from the Mishnah. Don't be medayik, hoylech is kizchi, hoylech lav kizchi, and what if the wife forget about any of that? The chiddush of the Mishnah is that hiskabel gets elishti is a good term from the husband's perspective. Really, I could argue hoylech lav kizchi, and don't deduce what would the halacha be had the wife appointed the person l'shliach first. The hiskabel gets elishti tzurchala, and the case of the Mishnah, the chiddush of the Mishnah is hiskabel. You might think hoylech lav bar shliach l'kabbalahu, because the husband does not have the right to appoint a shliach to be makabel the get. Then maybe even if the person delivers it, it's not a good delivery because hiskabel is neither a lashon of delivery and it's only a lashon of kabbalah, but he doesn't have the right to do that. Kamashmon hiskabel kamer. Kamashmon, no, when he says hiskabel, he means deliver it also. Okay, but we still have that original shaila is hoylech kizchi or hoylech lav kizchi. So let's go to the next case in the Mishnah Tanan. Isha she'amra hiskabel giti. If a woman told someone hiskabel giti, Rabbi received the get from me, imratzal asal yaser, then she's divorced the second it reaches the shliach's hands. My lav. Now there were two cases in the Mishnah. The husband said hoylech and hiskabel. So the Mishnah, then the woman said that was one case. New case, the woman said hiskabel. Does the halacha not apply even if the woman said hoylech? Loishna kabel, loishna halacha. Does the halacha not apply by hoylech as well? So that if the woman is point this woman to receive the get for her, and then the husband says hoylech, is that not referring to the case? Again, the woman said mi makabel. What did the husband say? Did the husband not say hoylech? And you see hoylech is kizchi dami. The Gemara says loy akabala. Perhaps they're talking about the husband said akabala. We don't know if it's a case of hoylech. So Gemara says one more attempt. Tashima, we said that if the woman appoints someone to be mikabel the get, the husband can override it. If the husband says to the wife's shliach, I do not want you to receive the get, rather hoylech. Hoylech in that case means deliver. The implication is it only means deliver in this case because the husband said, I do not want you to receive it. The The husband said efshi, but had the husband not said that, let's say the woman just appointed a shliach to be mekabel the get, and then the husband said haylach, it would sound like it would be haylach would work, because haylach is kischi dami. When the husband is saying haylach, he's saying haylach, I'm giving you permission to receive as well. Time adamir yavshi, haloya miyavshi, mrasal aksal yaser. Shmamina haylach kischi dami. So you see a pretty good proof that haylach is kischi. So the Gemara says no, dilma behilach. Perhaps the case of the Mishnah is not haylach, which is debatable whether the intention is haylach, deliver and acquire, or deliver and not acquire. The case is hilach. Hilach is definitely deliver and acquire, so therefore it's not a good proof. Okay. Now, the Gemara has the following, we'll end with this. The Gemara has the following shayla. We know, as I said before, the husband can appoint a shliach to deliver, the wife can appoint a shliach to be makabel. Now the Gemara says, pshita, it's pasha to me that ish have a shliach l'haylach. A man could appoint a man to deliver because the man himself could do it. I mean, whatever you could do, you could appoint a person of the same sex. So the woman could receive a get. So the shliach to be makabel can definitely be a woman. The husband can deliver the get. So the shliach l'haylacha, the shliach of delivery, can definitely be a man. Shekein bal malach gelishter. So the husband can definitely appoint a male agent to deliver the get. The isha have shliach kabbalah, and the woman, the wife, can definitely appoint a woman to receive the get. Shekein isha mekabels Gittin yad baila, because a woman could receive the get. So the man could definitely deliver, a woman could definitely receive. The question is, what about vice versa? Ish l'kabbalah v'isha le'locha minayin. Can a man appoint a woman to deliver, and can a woman appoint a man to receive? That's the question. I mean, objectively, I would think yeah, because shliach shalom kamaisa. The question is, where do we find the source for it? So Tashema, the Gemara is going to end off, I think, saying that the proof is that it works. The Gemara ends off saying that it works, but we'll get there. Tashema, the Brisa says like this: Ha'omer eskabel getzel ishti, ha'heilig getzel ishti. Right? The husband tells someone, accept this get from my wife, or take this get to my wife, and right? We said in both cases the husband is appointing a shliach to deliver. And then the Mishnah said, if a wife appoints someone to receive the get, that person is a shliach l'kabbalah. So the Mishnah started off by describing a man describing a shliach l'haylacha, and a woman describing a shliach l'kabbalah. Are we not talking about the same person? Meaning, seemingly, when you read the Mishnah, it's obviously talking about two different cases. The question is, can it not be talking about the same person? That the husband appoints him as shliach l'kabbalah, and then the woman appoints him as shliach l'kabbalah. So you see that one person could do both. So you see that a woman can appoint a male, or the man could appoint a female. You see that the same type of sex of a person can be appointed as a shliach for delivery and also as a shliach for receiving. No, the case the Mishnah is talking about two different people, two different cases. Who says it's talking about the same case? Who's talking about the same person? All it's two separate cases. The husband can appoint someone to deliver, the wife can appoint someone to receive, and maybe they have to be of a different sex. I have no idea. Tashema. Okay, let's bring another proof. And this is a good proof. I'll say it outside, I'll say it outside. It said in the Mishnah that if a woman appoints someone to be Mashiach l'Kabbalah, the husband could override it and say, no, efshi, I don't want you to be a shliach kabbalah, I want you to be a shliach l'haylacha. That's mamish. You see in the Mishnah, one person going from Kabbalah to Haylacha. So you see that Kabbalah and Haylacha could be done by the same sex. The Gemara says, Tashema, Lefikach Amar lehabal, Yeshish is the Kabbalah, Elahel Revetenla, and Rasalach Yachzer. So we had a question before. We said, can the man appoint a woman to deliver, and can a woman appoint a man to receive? So the answer is yes to one of them, because the case of the Mishnah is clearly talking about one person being both a shliach l'kabbalah and a shliach l'haylacha, because it was appointed by the wife and then changed and appointed by the husband, and it works. So either this proves that a man can be both the one to receive and deliver, or a woman could be the both one to receive and deliver, or both, but definitely at least one. So the Gemara says, "Pashat mina ish havishlich kabbalah." Out of the two, if I had to choose one to prove, I would, because it proves that one person could be both. I'll prove that a man can do both. Why? We know that a man could deliver because that's an extension of the husband. But I think we could also prove that a man could receive. Why? Because we find a precedent of a man receiving a get, and that's the father of a girl under bat mitzvah. If a girl under bat mitzvah gets married and the husband wants to divorce her, he gives the get to the father. So you see that's an example of a man receiving the get. So we have a precedent already for this. And now that you've proven that one person can do both, it makes sense that the easiest one to prove is the male. The male can deliver an extension of the husband, and if you have a proof, the male could also receive, because we find such a precedent. But we're still looking for a source that a woman can deliver a get. So, Amar Marmari, of Mari Tashima, Afanashim Shein Nemanis Lemeis Baila, Nemanis Lahavi Eskita. Okay, Hasam Haylachi, pretty good proof, right? We had in the beginning of the Masechta that if a person delivers a get from outside of Israel, they have to say B'fani Nechtam, B'fani Nechtam. The Mishnah said even women who are not trusted to say the husband died, right? There are certain women that we don't trust to say the husband died because we think that they would try to mess her up, like the mother-in-law, the stepdaughter, and all these things. They said the Mishnah said they could also deliver a get. And they have to say B'fani Nechtam, B'fani Nechtam. Oh, you see that they're delivering. That's a woman delivering a get. Proof clear as day. Ravashi says, look at the rest of that Mishnah. The Tani Seifa, the end of that Mishnah is also clear. If you remember, the end of the Mishnah said that a woman herself can deliver her own get, and she has to say, I think the case was like that the husband says she has to go to the Bezdin and then put it down, and then there was a whole akimta, the whole case. But you see that the wife herself, who's a woman, is delivering the get. So you see that a woman can deliver the get. Okay, we'll stop here because now we're starting a new sugya. We'll pick it up tomorrow, Bez Hashem. All right, sorry about the schedule change. Bez Hashem, tomorrow I'll go back to a little bit of a hiccup over here, but we'll back to regular scheduling tomorrow.